Hi, this is Drew Jones of Drew's Guitar Shop in Seattle, Washington, and today I want to do a little video kind of answering a genre of questions that I get once in a while. The questions are kind of along the lines of these two things here, which are the ones that I want to address. Can I string a guitar or can I tune a guitar? And the answer to both of those questions is no. It is better for the person who owns the instrument to do those two things. Now, let me kind of explain where I'm coming from and kind of where I think a lot of people are coming from on that, because I know that might be a frustrating answer to hear. Generally speaking, the people who send me these emails, when I get to talking to them, are either of kind of one of several types of person. Either it's somebody who just got their instrument, they haven't played long, they really they're usually operating without somebody in the family who plays guitar to kind of show them how to do those things, and it can be intimidating. So there's instruments that are harder to restring than others. Like if you got a Floyd Rose bridge, that's a little more complicated than some things, and if you got like an acoustic with even bridge pins and you've never seen that before, that can definitely look intimidating. But the thing is that places like my shop, I charge a table rate, and what that is it's a rate based on the amount of hours that it takes to do something. Now, stringing guitar isn't complex, but it does require a little bit of time, and so when I answer that question of can you restring a guitar, my answer is yes. I'll do a clean and restring for about $30, depending on what it is, and oftentimes they'll be like, okay, well that's a lot of money, and I'll be like, yeah, because I don't just offer restrings here. I don't just put new strings on a guitar. I'm going to go in there and I'm going to do some cleaning and fret polishing and some other stuff that I think should be done alongside changing the strings, because while you have the strings off of the instrument, it's a really good opportunity and should be taken as an opportunity to kind of clean your instrument and clean the gunk off the fretboard, clean the gunk off the finish, get that little spot of dust that's been kind of building up underneath the strings, and get everything cleaned up. And so when I do those, I offer them as a clean and restring for that reason. And that's usually what I'll take something in if I do take that job. But I'll usually try to encourage people to do that job on their own. And the reason is just because it's kind of like putting gas in your car. You don't take a car into a mechanic to have them put gas in it. That's something that most people just kind of know is like a standard thing that you're going to need to do for a car. And it's the same kind of thing for an instrument. Every once in a while, you're going to have to change those strings. If you're a pro player, you're doing albums or something, you might be changing those strings once every month, or before sessions or concerts. And if you were, not a pro player, you're still probably going to want to replace those strings every 2 to 3 months at the very least. It's a wearable part, which means that it has a lifespan. It gets put on and it's going to have a certain amount of playing hours until it has to come off again, because it's going to get gross. Oils and stuff will build up in the string windings, and things might start to rust or whatever, corrode, and they don't sound as good as they used to. So, but yeah, it's a real fundamental skill in just being a caretaker and a player of that instrument, to be able to change the strings yourself. And it's kind of like with every instrument that you get, there's going to be certain things, basic maintenance things that you're going to have to get familiar with as an owner of that instrument. So if you're a brass player, you're going to have to keep an eye on certain gaskets. You're going to have to make sure that there are covers over certain parts when you put the thing away, so that little things don't get dented and damaged. If you're a woodwind player, there's going to be reeds that you need to put in and replace, and that's a really similar thing to guitar strings, because that reed is another wearable part that it goes into the clarinet and it gets played for a while, and it either wears out or it snaps, and then you need to pull it off and put a new one in. But you don't want to be taking a clarinet into the tech to get that done. It's really expensive to get work done on any kind of woodwind. I'd say probably more expensive than most guitar stuff that I see anyway. But yeah, it's something that you're going to have to get used to doing, because it's just something that you're going to have to do every once in a while. The next one that I kind of wanted to talk about briefly is tuning. So I think I haven't really talked in depth with a whole lot of the customers that send in emails like this asking if I can tune their guitar. I generally will kind of link them to a tuner or something along those lines, and kind of, wish them luck, say like, I can show you if you bring it by how to do it, but I think that you need to do it yourself. Tuning a guitar is really something that you're definitely going to have to get good at. There's no way around it. There's no way around the fact that guitars tend to be one of those instruments that more than some other instruments are going to drift in and out of tune. And there are a number of reasons for this, but the bottom line is that you're gonna have to learn how to tune the guitar. And that goes for everything from like a basic acoustic where you just have the tuning machines up at the headstock, to like things like Floyd Rose's where you have like the fine tuners up at the bridge. These are going to be things that you have to be able to do on the fly, because if the guitar you have is being taken from a room that is one temperature and you take it and put it into a room that is another temperature, or you turn on the heater, or even the vibration from the strings can produce differences in heat that will cause those strings to expand and contract and throw them out of tune. And you're going to have to be able to adjust for that while you're playing. And I think that if I did talk to any of the people who sent those emails, the answer would probably be that like they know something about pianos. It's the only explanation that I can really think of off the top of my head. Maybe there are more. Leave them down in the comments if you have one, because this one oftentimes kind of flabbergasts me when I get that kind of email. But, pianos are a really complex instrument with like really heavy string tension and kind of a specific way that they have to be tuned. And so like when you tune a piano, you call a piano tuner in, and the piano tuner goes to work and does this, basically what's kind of an art, because piano tuning is its own whole thing. You could do a 2-hour video on nothing but piano tuning, because there's a lot there to cover. And I get it. If you're used to an instrument like that, getting it tuned would make sense. But it's not. This is not a stationary instrument. The string tensions aren't the same, and it's something that you travel around with. And as you travel around and stuff gets shaken and stuff gets exposed to different humidities and different temperatures, stuff is going to drift. And so that tuning, if I tune it for you here at the shop and then I send you home with it, it's going to be out of tune by the time you get it home. I mean, it may be only out of tune by a few cents, but I don't want to charge you for tuning an instrument only to have you get it home and realize that it's now out of tune. I would rather show you how to tune it. I would rather, talk to you about like how the tuning machines work. Like if you have something really complex, like a Floyd Rose with the fine tuners, and kind of be able to explain how those things work. There are videos on YouTube that you can find all over the place as guides for doing this sort of thing. I have little tips and tricks in terms of like how I will tune some things for specific applications. But at the end of the day, really, basic things like restringing and tuning an instrument are things that need to be done by the player. You are the player. You are the person who has made the decision that this is the instrument that you want to get good at, that you want to practice, that you want to gain some amount of skill on. And even if it's just like you want to be able to sit around the campfire and strum 3 chords and sing Kumbaya, you might break a string while you're on that camping trip, and I'm not going to be there. You're going to be miles and miles out there. You're going to have to know how to change that string. So, I really strongly encourage guitar players to learn how to do these 2 basic things and possibly some other things. Other things that I would recommend guitar players learn is how to treat a fingerboard. There are oils, lemon oil that you would apply to a fingerboard. There are certain oils that you don't want to apply, and there are certain oils that are healthy to apply to a fingerboard and that should be applied to a non-sealed fingerboard, and that's to say something that doesn't have finish over it. And there's also cleaning. There's kind of a basic protocol of kind of wiping an instrument down before you put it back in the case. This is not just a guitar thing. This is also a thing that you see brass players do, and also a thing that you'll even see like woodwind players do. Like basically everybody, who takes care of their instruments will kind of give something a little bit of a once over with, a clean cloth and then put it back in the case. That's something that I kind of wish that more guitar players would do. I get it, like people just want to play and then they just want to throw the thing back in the case. But in certain cases, I've seen instances in which kind of arm oils left on a guitar finish, over time can kind of degrade finish and things like that. And so, those are some things that I really encourage people to learn how to do themselves. And like I said, there are videos all over the place. There's good advice. I have several videos on my channel that I can think of that relate to this, including stringing instruments and cleaning and doing some polishing and whatnot. I highly encourage going and watching those and reading, talking to people who are genuinely skilled that who are in your life who have instruments that they play, and seeing what they do to take care of their stuff and learn how to do it. If I took every single one of these calls, I'd have several more jobs a month than I have. And it's really just a matter of, I've been at this for so long, and there are certain things that I just don't like doing. And I don't like taking money from people, for something that isn't something that maybe needs to come into this shop and maybe should be a skill learned by the player. I think that people are much better off learning to do this than paying someone to do it. So that's kind of my little spiel on the can I tune my guitar, or can I tune your guitar, can I restring a guitar, also a little bit about can I clean the guitar, can I polish the frets. I'm happy to take clean and restrings. If you just really don't have the time to sit down and really seriously kind of go through the instrument and clean it up and put the strings on, sure, I'll take those. I don't want to get stuff in here where it's just me throwing the strings on the instrument. I don't want to get stuff in here where it's just me tuning up the instrument, because I don't want people to take something that just got tuned up home and just have it go out of tune and then be frustrated with it because they paid me to tune it instead of tuning it themselves. So I get it. I understand why I get these emails, and I'm not trying to blast anybody for it. There's no shame in admitting you don't know how to do something, and I really wish that more guitar players would learn how to do that too. But this is one of those things that I'm happy to show people. I'm happy to link a video, but it's not something that I want to take from you as an experience as far as being a player and a caretaker of that instrument. So this has been Drew Jones of Drew's Guitar Shop in Seattle, Washington. I have links in the description to my Patreon and to my Ko-fi, and if you found this video helpful, you can go ahead and throw me some money on there. That definitely helps me make these videos. There's also a link down there to my Reverb page where, especially for you guys who are newbies and just kind of learning to play, I have links to instruments that I sell that have been thoroughly gone through and set up and, been upgraded to the point that they are as nice as they can be. And, they may not be like the cheapest used instruments or vintage instruments that you find out there, but they're definitely up there among the better players that you're going to find. I also have a link to my website in the description that will have a link in it, Caring for Stringed Instruments, right up there at the top. And that kind of has a long page that I wrote going through how to clean things, what things do, how things work, kind of talking about the anatomy of an instrument, and really stuff that it would be very helpful for players to know. I also have on that website links to my pricing page if you do want to know what a clean restring costs. And I have a link in there on my website. You can also contact me via my contact page, and shoot me a question, or ask me if I've got appointments open next week or whatever. There's lots more videos like this on my channel, as I kind of alluded to earlier, and you can kind of go back through that catalog and you can look and see if there's something in there that helps you out, and maybe there is. Maybe there's something in there that'll answer a question that's been burning in your brain, and maybe you didn't even know what the part was called, so you didn't even know how to ask it. I don't know. But yeah, that stuff is up there for anybody that needs it. I'm happy to make these videos. I enjoy educating people. I used to be a guitar teacher, so this is a big passion of mine. I really like informing people.